Welcome to BMW, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Wes Clark Jr., Michael Shure. I'm still a fan of WMB, but I sense I'm losing this battle.
I don't care what we call it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I know. I think BMW is good. WMB is good too. Actually, I had forgotten about WMB.
So let's begin with Donald Trump. Michael, we were talking about this yesterday. You feel strongly about this. He is. You never liked Donald Trump.
Never in my life.
You, in fact, didn't just like him. You had a strong dislike for Donald Trump.
Always have. I mean, growing up in New York, I couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand the way he emblazoned his name across every building, the way he went bankrupt and pretended that he didn't and let a lot of people down. His opinions, the fact that he thinks his opinions matter more than they really do. He's a real estate developer with a huge ego, he doesn't strike me as terribly philanthropic. You don't hear about the good deeds that he's doing. I'm not saying that he's not, but you'd think that when you talk,
he would promote them.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that you would hear about them if he was doing these good deeds. But you know what? Maybe he's doing them, and I'm not going to criticize him for that because there's so much else to criticize him for. But what he is doing right now, by flirting with the presidency, by talking about how he may want to run for the presidency, and then going after Barack Obama after the least common denominator idea with this birther thing, is so infuriating from a guy who has the credentials, who has zero credentials to be president. He's a guy who inherited some money, made a lot of money with the money he inherited, lost it all, and has created a celebrity out of nothing.
So yeah, it seems like, and then he's going to deny, as we'll see here in this video. He was on a bunch of Fox shows yesterday. Yeah. He's become a Fox darling. He's going to deny that his mentioning of the birther issue, which he seems to think just came up.
Yeah, well, of course, right. Well, you know, that's the thing with Donald Trump is it doesn't happen until he talks about it.
Right.
And so to him it may have just come up because now we have Donald Trump's take on it.
Well, he was on a bunch of Fox shows, and he'll of course deny it has anything to do with race. He was on Fox and Friends. Hard to believe these guys have any friends at all. Yeah. With Steve Doocy. Sure, making me the 8 billionth person to say that.
Right, but always funny.
And the two other guys, Brian Kilmeade, maybe, I think is one of them, and then the girl. Megyn Kelly, JR, is that the Fox and Friends girl? No idea.
It should be Gretchen.
Gretchen Carlson? No, Gretchen.
I think it's Carlson.
Okay. Gretchen. Gretchen, Steve, and Brian.
Is it Brian Kilmeade?
Don't know.
Brian Kilmeade, a former sports guy.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh. So anyway, he's on. We're going to run the clip from Fox and Friends, and they'll play the View clip where he got into the fight with Oprah. And so here it is. Here's the first clip from Donald Trump appearing by phone on Fox and Friends, and they'll play the View clip.
Move on to something that happened last week because once again, I know it's hard to believe, but there was a lot of talk about Donald Trump and what happened on The View. Now, you brought up the idea of the president's birth certificate and the fact that you would love for him to show it, just to clear everything up. And then Whoopi Goldberg said this.
Donald, I love you too. I think that's the biggest pile of dog mess I've heard in ages.
The question is, why not show it, right? There's something on his birth certificate he doesn't want to show.
It's not because he's black.
Let him show has nothing to do with it.
Because I've never heard any white president ask to be shown the birth certificate. When you become a president of the United States of America, you know that he's American. I'm sorry, that's BS.
All right, Mr. Trump, does it have anything to do with race?
All right, hold it. So he gets into the fight with Whoopi.
Yeah.
And now he'll proceed to tell everyone why this has nothing to do with race. Wes,
okay. Do you want me to tell you why I think it has everything to do with race now or afterwards?
Give me a 10-second preview of why you think it is now.
Dred Scott.
Dred Scott.
I'm sorry, 10 seconds. Dred Scott.
All right, little preview. We'll hear more from Michael's Dred Scott point shortly. But here is now Trump going on and explaining why it has nothing to do with race.
Have anything to do with race?
Absolutely not. And I like Whoopi. I've always had a good relationship with Whoopi. She asked me to do a movie for her. I was in a movie. But frankly, I mean, I think it's insulting that she brings up, what does that have to do with race? In fact, what...
So he's clear. What's the Dred Scott?
No,
point?
basically, anytime you talk about citizenship in this country, it has to do with race. I mean, birthright citizenship was established after slavery for people to create citizenship for people who were brought here as items. So anytime any new group of immigrants that comes to this country, you're talking about something having to do with race. You would not question, as Whoopi Goldberg said, the citizenship of a white president. And it wouldn't come up as much. So I think there are racial, I don't think that Donald Trump is picking on it because it's race. But I do think that anytime you talk about, so anytime you're challenging the citizenship of this president, you're talking about a discomfort with what he looks like and what his history is. And there's a history of racism in birthright citizenship. And that's what we're talking about here. So we're talking about, well, whether or not he was born in Hawaii, whether or not he is an American citizen. We're talking about after he's already become president. It was talked about a little. Don't you think Hillary Clinton in a primary, if there was really something there, would have brought that up? I mean,
Mike Huckabee made that point until he decided to also
jump on that bandwagon. So it is in its history, birthright citizenship is based in race. And so I think the further you go along with it, even to this point where Donald Trump is not sitting there being a racist, but he's challenging the citizenship of the president, which inherently is a racist attitude.
It's interesting because we're going to use the same theory, or I am, that applied to so many people in the Bush administration, which is either extreme ignorance or outright deceit. So you can have one or the other. But if Donald Trump doesn't realize that it has something to do with race, well, then he's just ignorant.
Right.
Then he's just foolish. And so then he's being deceitful about it. But you can't legitimately make the point that this issue is an issue, because it has been, just in case, I actually researched it last night so I would know exactly where we stood. And of course, you don't even want to get into it, but it's all nonsense right from the beginning. Yeah, you pointed out something great yesterday, because first of all, he'll claim that no one remembers Obama's birth.
Right, that's what he claims. He said, how come there are no nurses, no doctors in this hospital in Hawaii who remember the birth of Barack Obama?
All right, here's Donald Trump making that point.
I assumed, hey, look, you have no doctors that remember. You have no nurses. This is the President of the United States that remember. That ad that was placed in the Houston paper, that was placed in the paper days after he was born.
Sure.
So he could have come into the country, and they did it for social reasons. They put it in. They did it for whatever reasons.
Right.
There are a lot of reasons you could have put an ad in.
They did it for social reasons.
Right.
Who the hell would remember delivering a child?
Well,
I mean,
right.
They deliver more than one a day, and generally they don't come out with a stamp on them that says future president of the United States.
And they all look alike, and so there's not going to be a nurse saying, "Oh, that guy, I remember when he was born," when seeing him on
First of all,
television.
and the doctor who delivered him, by the way, it being 1961 and him being a working doctor, has passed away.
Yeah, of course. That's true. I mean, but all infants look the same. And basically, I mean,
but the thing of it is, and I don't want to get into the explanation because it actually somehow validates the point. A nurse remembers it because they knew the mother, and they knew the mother had that the father was Kenyan, and it was a big deal that she was pregnant and back in Hawaii. And when he went on to some success, or maybe just graduated from junior high, that according to the nurse, the doctor was like, "Oh, and the mother had a strange name, like they called her by a boy's name." So I'm going to say Sheldon because I don't remember. And he was like, "Oh my God, that's Sheldon's kid. I remember delivering him." I mean, it's as ridiculous as it gets. And then, of course, Donald Trump, after saying no one remembers him, proceeds to criticize the person who remembers it.
Right, yeah. Not only criticize, say that he should be investigated for perjury or something.
The governor of Hawaii, Neil Abercrombie. Here's Donald Trump again.
Certificate exists. You know what I get a kick out of? The governor of Hawaii says, "I remember when he was born 50 years ago." I doubt it. I think this guy should be investigated. I doubt he remembers when Obama was born. Give me a break. He's just...
Yeah. You should, if you were a doctor or nurse in the hospital, remember. Nobody else in the world should remember. I mean, Neil Abercrombie's parents were friends with the Obama's parents. And But, you know, he should be investigated for this, for claiming that his parents remember the birth of Barack Obama because his parents were friends with his parents. I mean, it's so ridiculous. And he's just contradicting himself once again right there.
It took him.
But you act like he's got some plan to do this. He's just saying shit.
Well, but that's what I'm talking about, though, Wes. I mean, he's just saying shit, but he's saying shit that is sinking. 51% of Americans think that a Barack, or 51% of Republican voters, I think is what it is, think that Barack Obama was born outside the country.
Yes, because
because of this stuff and not being called out on this.
Of course, he's not going to be called. Look, he's doing is he's talking to the breasts on Fox News. That's all he's doing. The woman there in the middle. If you run the clip again, it's not about Barack Obama or Donald Trump. It's about her tits.